Welcome to CompSci360, the ultimate virtual summit for MS in computer science in the UK. This two-day summit will give you a 360-degree view around everything related to MS in computer science in the UK, with subject knowledge experts and student mentors from top universities. Before we hear from the expert, we want to walk you through the CompSci community on the Nebula platform, a dedicated space for you to connect with other attendees and build lasting relationships with fellow computer science enthusiasts. Throughout this summit, you will interact with a number of subject knowledge experts, and if you wish to get a personalized one-on-one mentorship session or get your queries addressed, you can book a slot with them by visiting their Nebula profile. We believe that this session will enhance your learning experience and help you achieve your study abroad goals. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy the summit.
Hi everyone, welcome to this talk where we will be discussing the role internships play during the MS in Computer Science program and how to grab the best opportunities during your studies. My name is Namita Murali Narayanan, a community content creator here at Nebula, and I will be your host today. Before we get into our session, I would like to give you a brief introduction to Nebula, CompSci360, and also how this Nebula talk is going to work. Nebula is a community that helps aspirants eliminate their fears of staying in an unknown land while studying or working. To help them tangibly shape their future without any difficulties, we have created a platform that could help people wandering about. Many highly accomplished immigrant expats pushed their boundaries, and we have built a very powerful community driven ecosystem that brings people and technology together. Now, CompSci360 is a summit organized by Nebula to help students aspiring to study MS in Computer Science programs in the UK, and we aim to provide all of you here today the knowledge, resources, and insights you will need to make informed decision about your education and career in the UK. For this session, please ensure that you are sitting in a quiet area with an undisturbed internet connection. In order for the session to be an interactive one, I would request you all to drop your questions, comments, and doubts in the chat section. These will be addressed by the speaker, Shaival, during the Q&A session at the end of the talk. All right then, without further ado, let me introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Shaival Mehta. Shaival is a successful data analyst who is also an MSc in data science alumnus from the University of Leeds. Today, he will be taking us through and sharing his valuable insights on different types of internships, strategies for securing top opportunities, and other best practices. I welcome you, Shaival.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Exciting times. Thank you for having me here and great initiative by Nebula. And thank you very much again, Namita.
Oh, we're excited to have you here. So, Shaival, I want to start by asking what was your journey from the university in Gujarat to the university in Leeds like? Like, what motivated you to choose this path? What pushed you to take this international study step? And what were the biggest factors that culminated in this decision?
Thanks for asking. That's a great question, by the way. So I've always dreamt of pursuing my master's since the time I was doing my undergraduate. However, the initial plan was to do an MBA, generally how engineers go about it. But little did I know my life was taking me elsewhere. So my biggest motivation, if you may ask, was towards doing a master's was my deep interest in the data science domain. But why abroad or why UK, you may ask? It was always like I felt a hunger in me to get exposed to a new environment, to a new standard of living, and thereby developing a new personality. So,
Mhm.
moreover, I've always admired UK. It was my first family foreign trip, and since then, I've always had a soft corner for UK. So then,
Right.
obviously, you look at the best in class educational facilities there and the overall rankings that the university in UK hold. So yeah, summarizing the biggest factors were definitely the interest in the field, the international exposure you get, and my dream of pursuing masters. So yeah.
Right. All right. So we know that preparing a CV or resume is absolutely necessary for getting your dream job. What I want to know is what was your approach to making your resume? Is there a standard format or is it go crazy creative on it? What would you say?
Um, right. So I feel resumes are the most important part of your job application process. I like it to say that resumes are the Aadhaar card of your professional capabilities, is what I
Hmm.
generally believe in. But uh, resumes are this one document where you need to sell yourself. And in order to sell yourself, you need to show impact on your CV. So, yes, you don't have to go about just writing what you have done in the past, but there is also a specific way of writing, and there is a specific way of writing your CV when you consider UK. There's a different set of approaches or a different set of rules, if I may say, to write a resume. So yes, there are certain pointers that you have to keep in mind.
Hmm. I see. So, follow-up question on the response that you
Yeah,
gave.
yeah,
You said there are certain points to be kept in mind while preparing a
yeah.
CV for the UK. Now, does this set of rules, you can either talk about it or tell me that would they allow us to be a little, creative freedom? Do they allow us to show us our personality or our oomph to our resume?
Yes, certainly, but there are, even if you want to be creative with your CV, there are certain pointers that you have to keep in mind. Um, the UK, as I mentioned, the UK style of writing is completely different than what you expect back in India. So,
Mhm,
if I may just highlight some of the pointers that you should have, is you should use a STAR format, STAR. STAR basically stands for situation, task, action, and result. So, for your experience, for example, you add numbers or percentages in your experiences. So, for example, if I just give one experience highlight from my CV would be like streamline data cleansing and loading routines to generate optimized mappings, improve precision rate by 5%. So here I have basically put out a story where there's a situation, what task did I do, and what was the result by saying the
mhm,
precision rate was up by 5%. So, such numbers or such percentages should be used to create more detail or more impact on your CV. And more such details, higher your chances to get noticed by employer. uh,
mhm,
Secondly, you should make use of good action verbs. If uh, Harvard University has actually published an open source PDF where you can find good action verbs. So use good action verbs like streamlined or employed or mentored. And if you're an experienced person, make sure your experience section is in the first half of your resume, uh,
mhm.
and the information is pretty clear. So you don't want the employees to just go to the next page if it's a two-page CV to see your experience. Uh,
Right.
if yeah, and mostly keep your points concise, short, crisp, and detailed in a star format. So ideally, that these are the major points that you should have in place. And apart from that, you can have your creative freedom. You can beautify it here and there, but these points should be there.
Right. So, uh, you know, I understand that we'll just move on from resume for the time being. I think we'll come back to
Sure.
it at a later point.
Right.
What are the steps you had gone through to find the internships that you got while you were a student? And is there a checklist or format that was followed, or is it just a dart in the dark where a person applies to a lot of internship and just hopes to get the best?
Um, in order to secure a job or an internship, one has to prepare in a lots of different ways. Your journey towards finding a job starts from the day itself you enter the university. If I may put it that way. Yes, you need to have the technical skills, but the other important focus should also be in developing soft skills, like
Mm,
communication, for example, building relationships, create your own network there, is another big step. So the more active you are on platforms like LinkedIn, or job portals, and so that you do not miss out on opportunities. So
mhm,
these are some of the basic things that you have to keep in mind, and you have to be very proactive. You have to keep your eyes open for the opportunities that might land somewhere. If I talk about myself, University of Leeds, for instance, has this agency on campus called JobLink. that provides part-time or internship opportunities. Moreover, there is
Mhm.
also a career center that guides students on resume and profile building, and sends
Right.
email to all the students on a daily basis. But once you've got to register to that. So
Hmm.
once you start your university life, you go about looking for such career centers in the university on campus, or certain agencies. Universities are tied up with many agencies in the UK where you can find such internship opportunities as well. So be very proactive, be focused on those particular uh, agencies or career centers where they can actually guide you as to how you can build your profile here in the UK. So these are certain checklists that one should always focus on. And yes,
Mhm.
keep on developing your technical as well as soft skills. Soft skills are very important to get a internship or a job here.
Right. So, as a student, considering the fact that most of our audience here are either recent graduates or final year bachelor students, we would have this fear of, okay, I want my internship or job in this company or in this startup, but that fear of sending or that fear of, okay, this might not be right, this is not how we send it. One, is there a way to eradicate it? Is there a way to make it simpler? And B, is there something you would tell these students to, lessen their fear or FOMO, if I may call it, fear of missing out?
Right. So firstly, yeah, I do understand that, and I've gone through that as well. You basically have to be very confident in your technical skills firstly. Uh,
Mhm.
yes, there will be times when you feel that fear of missing out, or you feel that what if this might not work? But then your interest in the field, your um, motivation towards actually progressing in the field should be, you know, should come first and then the fear. So once you're motivated enough, uh, you are confident in your skills, is when you can feel a little bit secured. And
Mhm.
yes, you should definitely apply to wherever you feel you can or you're worthy for the role. Getting into it or getting not into it is something out of your control. What you can control is only your resume, your building a profile, uh, developing the other soft skills that I just mentioned earlier. So focus on the controllables and not on the result is how you can overcome that fear. Uh,
Mhm.
Developing oneself or developing yourself is the best way to go about it.
Right. What are the difficulties or challenges you had faced while you were starting out and you were applying for jobs or internships?
Right. That's a good question because there have been many challenges for me. If I just highlight a few that are in my mind right now. First and foremost, the visa status. So once you enter the UK, you're on a student visa because, as you already know, that I joined University of Leeds, so I was on a student visa. You're bound to work for 20 hours a week only, while
Mhm.
actually applying for part-time or full-time opportunities. After my course, many companies did not understand or have an idea about how can you continue working once your student visa expires. There's this new graduate route called post-study work visa or PSW, and
Hmm.
many of the employers or companies did not know about it. So how to actually make them understand if they are open to actually hiring you if you have that particular visa. So there were many
Right.
challenges in actually making those employers understand that there is something known as graduate route, and some companies would not even what to say would not want people who do not require any sponsorship,
Hmm.
right? So the visa status was one of the major issues, but then uh, once and foremost, you are clear in your head that this is uh, a route that the government of UK has gone about, like post-study work visa, is then when you are able to make the employers understand as well. So once they understand, they are also on board, and then you can figure out basically a middle ground somewhere. The second difficulty was answering interview questions because
Mhm.
the interview questions also require the candidate to speak in a star format, the situation, task, action, result. So I
Mhm.
had no knowledge during my initial interviews, and I always would think that my interview went well. What was wrong with it? But then there's a specific format of answering questions. And
Right.
once I realized that, I mastered, I practiced certain mock interviews with my friends, and that is how I realized, okay, there's a way of speaking, there's a way of actually putting out or selling yourself in front of the hiring managers. um,
Mhm.
Sometimes your cover letters won't be tailored enough to the job specifications uh, for your profile to stand out. So it is also important to research about the company a lot, putting some values or models in your cover letter of the company, and
Mhm.
basically try to prove how you're worthy for this role. So these particular points were one of the important ones that I faced.
Mhm.
And this the last point which I want to mention was not pertaining to me, but pertaining to my peers that I saw. Uh,
Mhm.
so uh, Unfortunately or fortunately, they did not have the experience. They were freshers when they came to the UK for their masters. They did not have enough experience, hardly 2 or 3 months of internships. So, due to the lack of work experience, either their resumes didn't go through or would get rejected in the first round of the interviews. So,
Mm.
for freshers like them, there are certain programs by the companies called graduate programs. So my
Right.
advice to freshers would be to research about these programs and apply to them as soon as you enter the university. So yeah, these were the big difficulties that I faced, or I saw people facing.
Right. So right now you are working as a data analyst.
Yeah.
But when you were a student, I'm sure you must have, as you just spoke about, you must have attended a lot of interviews and there were a lot of trial and errors and a lot of things you learned and a lot of things you unlearned. So what is that one, did you go just for data analyst interviews or, did you go for a set of other interviews? How was it that you came to data analyst and decided, okay, this is what I want to do?
Um, to be honest, for me, my path towards data science was decided when I was doing my undergraduate. So for me, honestly, that was the only path I took. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, I was uh, going to pursue MBA, but that uh, fortunately, that particular mindset got changed in the
Mhm.
right time when I was in my final year of undergraduate. So
Mm,
uh, basically, my undergraduate prepared me for the data science domain where I was introduced to many key principles and concepts. And
mhm,
to go further in that field, I interned at a couple of places, and then I fortunately got a full-time job in back in India as well. But for me, it was always data science because that field really interested me, and I saw a potential in me to go about in this field and progress in this field. So for me, it was only this particular profession and not anything else. So I was pretty focused on one field or domain.
right. All right. So coming back to our conversation about resumes, would you
Yeah.
say that how different should one our resume be from one company to another? Like how much customization does it require for each and every job that you apply?
Mm, so uh, that's a great question because there are two point of views for this. Some people would advise you to tailor your resume for every job role, and some would
Hmm.
say no, you should always have one resume. My ideology is somewhere in the hybrid section. Always have one generic cover letter and resume. There will be some job application where you feel, okay, I had applied to such job role before, I already have a CV for this in place. So for such job applications, a generic resume or a generic cover letter should be good enough. Yes, the cover letter has to be changed according to the company name and the hiring manager and the position, but resumes can be generic. For specific job roles or for specific companies, you might have to tailor your CV, and you should tailor your CV, I feel, because there are certain keywords addressed in the job specification or job description that the companies look out for. For example, if the job role requires you to be a mentor, then you should have a keyword on your CV called mentor. Or
Mhm.
for example, I'm applying for data analyst roles. There should be some technical skills that the company requires. So uh, for certain job roles that you feel you're worthy and you're fit, you definitely should tailor your CV for those roles, but always have a generic resume or generic cover letter, just so that you can apply to some number of companies. You don't feel like, okay, I'm not applying enough, because
Mhm.
an opportunity can come from anywhere. So you have to have a generic, as well as you should tailor your CV for certain kind of roles that you wish you want to go in.
Right. What would you say are the key important things one has to include in their cover letter? Absolutely
Right,
necessary for any job.
right, right. So the cover letter has a format, right? It will start from the address, firstly your name, of course, your contact details, and then the address of the company, right? The company name, the address of the company. If you know what the name of the hiring manager, please write the name of the hiring manager, like dear Miss Namita, something like that.
Mhm.
If you do not know, dear hiring manager is fine, and that is how you should start your cover letter ideally. And the cover letter should have three paragraphs. First paragraph should introduce about yourself and how you found out this role, for example, from LinkedIn or from any of the job portal, and
Mhm.
give like what the 3 points that describe you. Like, uh, I'm good with communication. I'm a team leader or something like that. 3 points,
Mhm.
and explain those 3 points in the next paragraph.
I
Like, for
see. Okay.
example, uh, I'm good with communication. So have one uh, pointer ready in the next paragraph where you prove that you are good with communication, either from your experiences or from whatever you've done in the past. Do
Mhm.
not replicate your CV. Your CV is enough to stand out. Hence, there is a different document called cover letter. If the
Mhm.
company is only required resume, then they would not ask cover letter. Cover letter is a place where the companies want to know you as a person.
Mhm.
So more focus on soft skills rather than technical skills. Uh, so how you have uh, overcome some challenges, or how you solve problems, those kind of uh, soft skills, if you mention in your cover letter, that would be great. Add certain values or company values or company morals in your cover letter as well, so that they also have a sense that the candidate has browsed their website. The candidate knows that, okay, he has researched about the company, is willing to join the company as well. So cover
Mhm.
letter is a place where you should make the employer feel like, okay, that this candidate has come to our website. And the last
Mhm.
paragraph should be a closing paragraph where you would request the hiring manager to evaluate your credentials, and would appreciate for a prompt response, and then you end the cover letter. So this is a particular format, yeah, that you should go about in a cover letter.
All right. So, thinking back on it now to your college days or your student days, is there something you would have done differently while you were approaching jobs or writing
Yeah,
resumes or cover letters? What is the thing that you wish you had done differently and you would suggest others not to do or do?
right. Yeah. So I think I mentioned this earlier, but be a little bit more proactive in finding opportunities. I think I was just trying. So what happens is, when you come to a new country, you get overwhelmed, or you fantasize this new world, this new environment. There are some things that you
Mhm.
don't see back in India that you see here. So definitely you try to explore that as well. But uh, your ultimate aim is, if your ultimate aim is to settle here, then obviously you would want to find a job or a internship to basically build your career here. So
Mhm.
your that focus should not go. So be a little bit more proactive. Starting Once you start the university is when you'll have the most time with yourself, because once the course starts, you will be busy with doing your assignments or studying, or dedicate your private self study hours, and then you won't get enough time. So start during the start of your university, try to explore the career centers, the part-time or the internship job opportunities, where are the agencies in your particular city, which agencies you target to, uh, start building a good network on LinkedIn, be more active on LinkedIn, try to find hiring managers on LinkedIn, try to find people or communities who host job fairs, visit those job fairs. What do companies there who actually attend the job fairs require from a candidate? Talk to them, take their LinkedIn profile, sorry, their email, their LinkedIn profile name, so that you can connect with them. So be a little bit more proactive on that side. For me, university had this data analytics institute where there were many internship for data analysts, especially, and I got to know about it after the applications closed. So,
Mhm.
which is where I feel that I missed that opportunity because I was not proactive enough. You have to keep your eyes open because there are ample number of opportunities. You just
Right.
have to find them. You have to create for them, create for yourself. Sorry, and moreover, build good relationships with professors. They help you a lot. The professors in the UK, they help you a lot. They either will refer you to certain positions, or they at least give you good tips or advices on how to find jobs. Or some professors are also looking for good TAs or teaching assistants, so you might
Right.
just shoot your shot there. You might just
Mhm.
apply for a teaching assistant job, and then basically try to understand the concepts of that particular module even further. So there are many opportunities you to just be focused and a little bit more proactive once you start in university.
All right. So you mentioned in your response that we have to be proactive, and one of the words you used is agencies and other such
Correct.
sources. I want to know
Correct.
how reliable are these agencies in the
Mm,
UK, how to find the
mm.
right ones, how to not fall in a trap that calls agencies.
Right. So the safest bet for anyone would be the on-campus ones, because
Mhm,
they do not have any sort of malicious practices, if I may
mhm,
just put it that way. Uh, Definitely, every university in the UK has a career center,
mhm,
so you should definitely visit them. You can ask them as well what are the good agencies in the city that I should visit. There'll be many job fairs you can go to. Just be active on social media. Instagram, Facebook are good places where you can also find things that are happening around in your city. So if there are job fairs, do go to job fairs, because what happens is when you go to such fairs, you tend to understand what do the companies actually want from a candidate. Is these kind of job fairs actually required for me? Am I overqualified, underqualified? What more should I do to build my profile? So basically, getting an exposure. Uh, Agencies, most of the agencies here in the UK do not have such malicious practices, according to my
mhm,
experience. They're pretty straightforward, they're very helpful. They'll definitely understand or guide you towards building your profile or resume. So, uh, I would say the safest bet is the on-campus ones, and then you can definitely ask your professors. You can definitely ask the other international student committee members there in the university, like, if I'm willing to apply for these particular roles, what is the best place to go to? So yes, you have to
mhm.
keep asking and then figure it out as and when you are experienced enough.
Right. So most students, while doing their course, even if it is not a necessity by university, would want to do internships. So it's a rush in these students where, like, I have to get an internship. So
Yes.
what would you tell them? How many companies should they apply to? Should they just apply everywhere? Also,
Right.
follow-up question to that: once they apply, how long should they wait to
Correct.
reach out to the company and ask for a response if
Correct.
they don't get one?
Um, right. So here I feel quality matters over quantity. So I
Mhm,
would rather apply to two or three positions or one position a day,
mhm,
but of quality. Do not
right.
go after, okay, I applied to 10, 15 jobs today. I'm definitely going to get a call for interview. No, it is nothing like that. The application should be of quality. If you have a good structured resume and you have a good tailored cover letter, there are chances for you to stand out and definitely at least get an interview call or initial call from an HR. So focus on writing the CV properly, focus on tailoring your cover letter properly as well as your resume. Develop your soft skills and technical skills. That should be the primary focus. Applying to internships, yes, uh, you should definitely apply to internships while you're studying. But what happens is when your course becomes like from semester end of semester one, uh, your course becomes a little bit heavy. You find less time. So also keep that in mind that do not rush for internships. You also have to first graduate from the university. That should always be the first aim. So do not just rush about going for, okay, I need to get a job, I need to get a job. Yes, everyone has that aim, and you should have that mentality of competing against the rest of the peers, but uh, be a little bit more practical in terms of if you can dedicate the 20 hours of the week to something else. If you are not able to, there will be ample amount of opportunities once you find time. So do not rush about it. And sorry, what was the follow-up question? Can you just repeat that?
The follow-up question was, once you apply, how
Yeah,
long should the student wait for them to,
correct.
reach out to the company?
Correct, correct. So ideally, it takes the process generally takes about 2 weeks.
Mhm,
If your profile stood out to the hiring manager or the HR, you might just receive a call within 5 days as well. Like I've seen instances where I've got the interview call after 2 days. So
mhm,
it depends on how you apply. Hence, I said quality matters over quantity. uh, what happens is sometimes companies go about just publishing the job role on job portals, but they actually do not want to hire. They just want to have an opening for themselves. So do not
mhm,
worry if you do not just get a reply or response from the company as soon as possible. If you do not get a response, uh, find the hiring managers on LinkedIn or from the job portal where you had applied from.
mhm,
Connect with them, find their emails. Most of the hiring managers here are very kind enough to provide their phone numbers and their email IDs as well, so you can
mhm.
directly contact them. But yes, you just can't contact them the very next day you apply, because that is wrong practice. The best practice is to wait for at least 7 days, and then if you still do not get a response, email them. If you still do not get a response from them, then call them. So there is a 7 day, 5 day process. So after 7 days, email them. If they do not reply to your email after 5 days, then you call them. So
Right.
that is the best practice if you do not hear back from them. But generally, the response rate is around 7 to 14 days, working days, excluding weekends. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Guys, I hope you guys made note of that. That was one of the best tips that I've heard about jobs and internships and reaching out to companies. That being said, that brings us to the last question from me for
Yeah.
today. And my question is, as a student, everybody wants their dream job. Everybody has, okay, maybe not right now as a last year bachelor student or a recent graduate, but at some point you'll have that one job that you really want. And when you apply to companies, it is only natural to get negative responses or to not get responses that you're not happy with. What is that one tip or a few tips, if you may, give to the students to stay motivated and to just keep applying until they find the job that they are looking for?
Glad that you asked. Yes, application process is very taxing and takes a lot from you. You're absolutely correct. But there is always light at the end of the tunnel. You always will make it. And with the uh, quality of what to say, everyone that is on the call, I'm sure everybody is going to get great jobs and internships. But if I be honest, you will face many rejections at the start, if I'll be completely honest. But then during those rejections, it's rather than feeling disheartened, ask for feedbacks from the hiring managers.
Right.
Ask feedbacks, ask responses like why was I not selected. Yeah, obviously in a very formal you just have to request them if they can provide for a feedback. uh,
Mhm.
you need to perform I call this as a breakdown analysis. For instance,
Mhm.
ask yourself these questions: is your resume not passing through? If yes,
Mhm.
keep reiterating, keep revising your resume, modify things, ask peers or ask your friends what worked for them.
Mhm.
If a uh, particular format worked for them, try just do it an experiment for yourself. Try having another copy of that resume and apply to some roles. If you're getting calls, good, that was what worked for you. uh,
Mhm.
are you tailoring your resume enough for particular job specifications? Because as I mentioned earlier, some companies want certain keywords in your resume, and if you don't have, your resume won't pass the ATS system. There is this ATS system which
Mhm.
basically filters out CVs for companies. So if your resume does not pass the ATS system, you'll get a rejection email. So
Mhm.
going the stuff major step or the major challenge for most of the candidates is to pass that ATS system. And for passing that ATS system, you need to have certain keywords on your resume. So first point is that if your resume is not passing through. Second point,
Right.
if you are getting interview calls, if your resume is passing through, and if you're getting interview calls but not able to convert,
Mhm.
if that is the thing, then introspect what kind of questions you failed to answer, or you went blank, or you didn't have a good you generally have that feeling that, okay, I didn't answer this question properly. So
Yeah.
you make a note of that, that these particular questions is where I'm not able to answer properly. I would have answered in this manner in retrospect.
Mhm.
So focus on that if you're not able to answer, or if you're not able to convert, basically. So rather than feeling disheartened, you should start working on yourself. Yes, this is a very taxing process, and I understand that you do feel disheartened, that I did work a lot, and why am I not able to convert? But this process teaches you patience. This process teaches you how to stay grounded, how to be humble,
Mhm.
how to be welcoming, and how to take rejections as if you've won something. So this process is basically also develops your personality. So keep upskilling yourself. This is actually the right time to learn new skills and basically add those skills in a resume to even perfect your resume. So make your profile difficult not to be ignored. So
Right.
manage on these controllables and leave the rest to your luck. So always stay focused and positive. So there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So nothing to worry about.
Awesome. That's great advice. That's great advice. We'll move on to our audience questions for now.
Sure. Looking
We
forward.
have it in our chat section. First question is from Shreya. How to find the right internships that will help the future of our career?
Right. Thanks, Shreya, for that question. It depends on multiple aspects. First, coming from you as where your interest lies, where you feel your right motivation is. There can be many avenues where you feel, okay, I can go towards this particular field as well. I can go towards this particular field as well. You have to keep exploring. You have to think, okay, I might be a good fit here. I should try this. And these are the years where you are, or you can explore. So you should definitely think about this way, that where is your interest, firstly. Secondly, look at the job description, or look at the internship description. The particular job requirements or the job specifications, do they interest you? Do they excite you? Do you feel, okay, this is something where I can learn and grow? Because the ultimate aim of any internship is to grow and to learn, definitely. So are these particular job requirements or job specifications, are they exciting to you? If they are, definitely jump onto the occasion. An application is free, so you don't are not paying anything. But in that whole process, you're learning a lot. What if you get an interview call? Some good questions that what if some good questions come up in the interview? You feel, okay, this is something that I didn't know of. You can try after the interview to actually understand, okay, this is something I can work on, and in the next interview I can actually answer that in the right manner. So take interview calls or take such job application process as a time to learn as well, because this is a great time to upskill yourself. So yes, the first point should be your interest, your motivation, if this is what you want to do, and secondly, the job description should excite you.
Great. I hope you took note of that, Shreya. I hope that helps you find your right internship. Our next question is from Roshan. Does completing internships give students extra credits in the courses they have enrolled?
Um, as far as my university was involved, no, unfortunately, but the universities do promote and encourage students to uh, work or to intern somewhere to get a good industry level experience and to get accustomed to the business know-hows in that particular country. So unfortunately, as far as my university is concerned, there was no extra credits. Um, as far as I remember, the other universities in the UK, I don't think there is any credit addition to your portfolio. So I'm not totally sure of this, but as far as I know, unfortunately, there is no credit addition.
I see. I think the question came from the fact that some universities in India give extra credits.
Right,
Uh,
right,
I think that's where the question came from.
right. No, so for masters here, it's a 9 month masters. To be honest, it says 1 year, but it's a 9 month masters. The rest of the months you are basically either preparing for examinations or you're trying to find part times or you're working on a dissertation. So
Right.
you have to basically intern in those 9 months,
Hmm.
honestly. But I don't think the universities give some credit for doing extra work. But your dissertation is also a great time for you to upskill yourself. So also focus on a dissertation. Just an extra point, but yes.
All right. So we have our next question from Pun Murugan. Were there any particular industries or companies that were more open to hiring MSN computer science interns in the UK? And how did you identify and target these opportunities?
That's a great question. That also makes me remember one point for what Shreya asked. Industries are also a good driving factor for people applying to jobs or internships. What industry also excites you should also be one of the major factors towards finding your dream role or how you can go about progressing in your future. But coming to this question, uh, yes, there are certain industries, for example, like the best part about such technical courses like computer science or data science is every industry needs your skill. So the best part about such technical professions is that every industry would want you, because either they have some software to be released or some services to be provided to a client, some software services. Um, so major industries that actually hire are finance
Mhm.
industries definitely, uh, then energy industries like shell companies or oil companies, petroleum companies. Definitely, they need a lot of computer science, data science graduates. Finance, 110%. So if you're interested in finance, please, you have a plethora of options. Then you also have automotive industries that also require a lot of software engineering roles and data science roles, because healthcare is another medical field. I feel is one of the biggest industries here in the UK. NHS is very big, so there are ample number of opportunities for technical professions. So these are some of the industries that definitely hire, but look out for healthcare, finance, and energy sectors.
All right. So we have our next question from Yogendra. He asks, is there a way to approach big companies if a student doesn't have any prior experience or projects?
Right. So again, that's a brilliant question. Uh, you should focus on something known as a graduate program. Uh, so if you are a fresher, you don't have enough experience. Once you start in university, try searching for graduate programs. Uh, your university will be very kind to provide information on graduate programs as well. Either you can search on the internet. Many companies like PwC, KPMG, EY, if I name a few, Legal and General, they provide such certain graduate programs where if you're a fresher, you don't have industry experience, they actually train you for a couple of years, and that
Mhm.
particular job basically starts from next year. So if you start the university in September 2023 and you apply to one of the job roles, the whole hiring process is about for 2 or 3 months. If you go through that round, you get the job will start in September 2024. So once you graduate, you have a job in hand. So always apply and look out for these graduate programs. Meanwhile, what advice I would give is the assignments or the projects you do during your master's course, keep that as projects in your resume.
Mm.
Don't sell it as if you did it in your university, sell it as if those were your personal projects. So that way you can add your project list also on the resume. Uh, that is one advice that I also used. And they do not ask, hiring managers do not ask if this project was your own or in your university. You can keep that as your own. So that is how you can uh, build your resume. And yes, just research about graduate programs. You should be fine.
Right. Hope that helps you, Gendra. We have our next question from Mithila. Can you share any tips on how to make the most of an internship experience in an MS in computer science as an MS in computer science student, such as networking or building relationships with mentors and colleagues?
Yes. So tips would be, firstly, focus on making the most of your time at the internship, because if that's your first internship, definitely you it will be overwhelming for you. There's a different way of working here. So your first week or your first couple of weeks will go in understanding the business itself. Try to understand the business as much as possible, because that will actually help you to not only to settle in the company, but also start building your network there. uh, Secondly, your first point of contact should be a manager. Ask them questions, raise certain questions. Do not be what to say do not be hesitant in asking or raising questions. The more you ask, the more you learn. So, and here people are very helpful. If you are stuck somewhere, do mention that I'm stuck here, please could you guide me or help me, and they would be more than happy and willing to basically help you. uh, Secondly, focus on growing and learning. If you feel there is something that you want to pursue in your full time, uh, try asking your managers if there are any trainings available in your company or in your organization. You can definitely get enrolled to those trainings or courses, and that is how you can upskill yourself, and then at the end your resume keeps on building and building and building. So focus on understanding the business first, keep asking questions, and then once you start working in a project, you will definitely be interactive with the team, and that is how you start building relationships. You'll understand how other people are also working, what is their efficiency, and how are they doing about things. You do keep asking, keep talking to them, and that is how you get the strength to contact even more people in the organization. So it should start from your team, and then you can expand your reach.
Right. We have another question from Mithila as well. What advice would you give to an MS in computer science student who is interested in pursuing an internship in the UK but may be uncertain about how to get started?
Right. So I think I answered this in one of the questions that Namita asked. Uh, Once you start your university, check uh, any career centers or any agencies in your city. Those will basically help you a lot. The career centers will guide you. You can have personal one-to-one sessions with the career counselors. there, and they are really helpful. They can actually not only guide you on your profession but on personal aspects as well. As if you feel some difficulties, you can definitely raise that to them, and they can guide you in every way possible. I took a lot of help from the career centers in my university, and the tips that I am giving you at the moment, those were given to me back then as well. But yes, my experiences have also molded me. But do not be hesitant. Once you come to the UK, you definitely will start your what to say, you'll be in your groove, and then you'll figure out ways of working. And once you do that, you'll feel like, okay, this is something I can be accustomed to. I'm okay with it. And once you're okay with it, you'll find many aspects, many avenues, and build confidence in yourself, and then try raising questions. And then when you go to such career agencies and then you take guidance from them, you will have a clearer picture, you will get a clearer vision, and then things will basically start to, you know, decipher for yourself.
All right, Shaival, that was great. That was the last question we had. And, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us today. I think I can confidently say that we have gotten a lot of insights, including myself, on how to go about jobs and internships and how to interact with people and get the most out of people without being arrogant or rude and just being nice and, straightforward with them. So thank you so much once again. Uh, all
Yeah,
right, then that's
pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for having me, inviting me, and I hope everyone gets a good internship or a job. And best of luck to everyone. Thank you again, Nabila team, for inviting me. It was a great experience. And if any one of you still have questions, you can definitely reach out to me on Nabila chat. Uh, yeah, I look forward for your questions again, and have a great evening and the rest of the day, guys.
You too. All right, everyone. So we have come to the end of this Nebula talk, and we have a lot more interesting and exciting Nebula talks and panel discussions coming up. But before we get to that, right now we have a breakout session just for you where you get to interact with like minded peers like yourself, understand more about how to get a one on one mentorship with speakers and student mentors from universities, and much more on how to make your transition from India to UK much easier. So stay tuned and get a full 360-degree information you need to start your study abroad journey easier. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Shaival. I'll see you. You take care. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye. Take care. Bye.